I hope that our generation is known for not hiding their views just to be liked. Like, who cares about the standards? Like, this is what we believe in, and this is what we're gonna fight for.
This is the generation that's tired of accepting mediocrity, that's tired of accepting this cultural norm that got established as far as that politics was not an okay topic to discuss, and it's pushing those boundaries.
I think I want our generation to be the ones who start breaking stereotypes. One of the biggest ones is that young people can't really participate. And when you get to that age where you're voting, you're the ones making the change. That's what I want us to be remembered for.
Aimee Kaukonen was one of the first women ever elected to public office.
She didn't have a whole lot of political background.
She was a strong supporter of the Prohibition movement, and that actually drove her into wanting to run for public office. As a doctor, she had seen so many patients come in suffering from alcoholism.
She took what she believed in and she ran for mayor, and she won, which is so cool because she was one of the first female mayors after the suffrage movement.
Women's suffrage in a lot of popular culture is associated with older women who are not that much fun and really serious and really moral. And Aimee is fun, and she's young, and she plays music, and she brings her dog with her wherever she goes, and she shows that this is not just the cause of the lady at church, but it's the cause of everybody, you know? And so she really opens against the stereotype at the time.
A lot of other female candidates were widows of male politicians, and so they were following in their former husband's footsteps. Aimee Kaukonen was really forging her own way.
I'm a grandmother in American politics.
Mattie Oblinger was sick of people who thought that slavery was acceptable.
She was a Sunday school teacher, so she was very religious.
She was entering the age where she was looking into people to court and eventually marry. That had to be someone who shared her political views in that anti-slavery movement.
She didn't have the right to vote yet, and she couldn't, but she knew her views were valid. She wanted Ulysses S. Grant to win.
She doesn't demonstrate, she doesn't give speeches, but when you dig into her letters, you see this really strong political voice, strong political opinions.
She ended up courting Uriah Oblinger, who fought for the Union. After the Civil War, he entered into a business where he was having to do lots of traveling.
And it was time for the election, and she was constantly sending him letters, pressuring him to come back home and to vote.
It's kind of a cool historical lesson that just because we don't have evidence of somebody running for office or giving a speech, in their own personal lives, they might be really engaged and really passionate.
She actually was able to get him to come home to be able to cast this vote.
And it ended up working. And Grant ended up winning the election.
She worked around her obstacle to get her voice heard.
Aimee Kaukonen was definitely one of my favorite stories because she had an issue that she felt so passionate about, and then she immediately dove into politics.
It shows how being yourself can take you so far. Because if she did stick with those stereotypical ideas of women, she probably wouldn't have gotten as far as she did. So breaking out of that and being herself really got her far, and I admire that about her.
When you look at Mattie, she maybe wasn't as bold as Aimee Kaukonen.
Yeah.
However, she still used her authentic self and her sense of purpose getting her husband to vote. I think as long as you're being your true self, you can accomplish amazing things.
I'm a huge activist for our environment, and I always talked about it. But then everyone else in the class would roll their eyes and they're she's talking about it again. Can you stop? Who cares? So at my school, I feel the stigma of speaking about our beliefs is still there.
And at my school, one thing that does get everybody's attention is where somebody will talk about police brutality. They always want to talk about how bad government is. There's nothing that they can do, but there's so much that they can do. If you want to have those discussions, discuss what you want to do to change it.
I think that willingness to dare is really defining our generation as being more bold than ones that came before us.
I definitely feel if we want change in our society, there are going to be things we need to break. Aimee broke rules. Like Mattie broke society like standards. They all broke like stereotypical standards, and if we don't do that, nothing's going to happen.